Welcome to SEO Conspiracy.com. Today is the first week of 2021. Therefore, we're opening the news for this year, episode 1, week 1. Let's go right in. First in the news, our dear friend Christine reported on Twitter something that sounded like a miracle. In a manual action by Google, okay, you get a message saying that you did something bad, but they stop telling you or giving you hints or directions or examples of whatever you did bad. And apparently they are starting to show, so to display. So here's a note from the reviewer that says, we recommend adding the RHEL sponsored or RHEL nofollow attribute on the links that are blurred out to remain confidential. So thank you, Christine. This is good news. It will help a lot in manual action, Google, if you keep on giving those examples. It does help a lot. Next in the news, on calcalistech.com, SimilarWeb targeting a $2 billion NASDAQ IPO in Q2 of 2021. $2 billion. If you've never heard of the tool SimilarWeb, it is very powerful. It is very expensive. It's from Israel. Those guys are very, very talented. I've had access to some of the stuff they do, and wow, $2 billion IPO. That's some serious money, guys. But they charge a lot. You can easily pay millions of dollars per year for SimilarWeb to functions. Next, on TheVerge.com, Amazon buys Wondery, setting itself up to compete against Spotify for podcast domination. So Wondery is now part of Amazon Music. Wondery is or was a very reputable independent major podcast network. Has a good reputation, and now it's swallowed up by Amazon. Will it turn users away or not? I don't think the shows will change, so there's no reason. If you like Dirty John, it will still be there. However, what's interesting beyond this acquisition is the war around podcast. I've been doing podcasting since the early days, and basically Apple with iTunes killed the monetization possibilities of podcast. Since then, making a podcast and making a living with it has been more than challenging. Some people achieve amazing results. Props to you, Joe Rogan. 100 mils for going over Spotify. I would have taken it. But most of the in-between podcasters, either it's a hobby, like I do it, or you are big time and you make money. But like always, the middle is struggling a lot, and I would love some solutions to come over that way. So I don't know what Amazon can figure out to help podcasters make money, but there would be a nice evolution of this media, which deserves a lot of attention. Next, on Amazon.com. Look at this. Or if you're listening to me on the podcast, let me describe to you the Echo Frames eyeglasses with Alexa. I've told you, okay? This is where we're going. Those are just glasses. They're cool-looking glasses. I reported a few weeks ago Google equivalent type of glasses. It doesn't look nothing like the early prototypes that people wore a few years ago, and they look totally silly with it. It looks normal. Then will it move to contact lenses? When will people be ready to get a chip inside the brain? Because don't get fooled, guys. This is where it's going. But that's interesting that it's now on the market, and it's not going away, guys. That's the future. So you will be streaming 24/7, and you will have some kind of augmented reality screen in front of you, which is also very important for everything you need to do as a SEO in order to make the data easily accessible, structured data, AMP, Core Web Vitals. Think mobile. Think mobile. Forget the computer website, type of website, okay? Build stuff for mobile. Next, on torrenttrick.com, pirate site search traffic tanked following Google updates. It's not so interesting to notice that the piracy site take a beating. It's interesting to see that it's correlated with updates that keep on happening, actually. December is full of Google updates. What's interesting here is if you have some kind of project to build a website that looks somehow, some way like a borderline directory. When I say borderline, I have nothing against torrent. I think it's a wonderful technology. But yes, some people from the music and the movie industry, or even the software industry, don't agree with what these websites are doing. And it's Google's way to show good faith, trying to clear the path. Now use another search engine, use like quant.com. You'll find all those websites. And I believe that if there's a will, there's a way. If you want to find a torrent link, you will find a torrent link. No problems with that. Now, what's interesting here is more about this threshold, okay? If those websites are taking a beating, then you need to level up your spam tactic or spam strategy or website or low quality or scrap the type of website. This is how I interpret this type of data. Next, in the news on Reuters.com, Facebook's advertising integrity chief leaves company. Very interesting news with very little information around it. So Rob Leathern, director of product management, said earlier this month that he will be leaving the company on December 30th. there's just a post saying that he was leaving Facebook to work on consumer privacy beyond just ads and social media, without disclosing where he was heading. In my opinion, IMO, if you look at Rob's latest tweets, they are from November, and it looks like he was fed up with the whole thing. They did their best to put measures in place for the elections to be fair, and that the ads were controlled and all this and all. And the last tweet: we do not have the technical ability in the short term to enable political ads by state or by advertiser, and we are also committed to giving political advertisers equal access to our tools and services. Take it as you want. My opinion, he just couldn't take it anymore. Just so much heat on you, and so much obstacles inside the company you have to overcome in order to get something done. So he was a very talented guy, and I hope that Facebook finds someone at least as good as him. But good luck with that, Facebook. On searchmetrics.com, SEO and poker analogies by Bill King. So Ben, the host of this podcast, is inviting Phrases.io's director of marketing, Bill King, to talk about SEO, and they make poker analogies. If you don't know, I'm holding a poker tournament, SEO oriented, pretty much on a monthly basis. It's free to enter. And I see a lot of similarities between poker and SEO in the strategy, in the way you can gamble or play long term. And basically also you are playing the game a little more difficult than poker, because the rules are not so obvious and they kind of change without anybody telling you. So you have to figure it out. Otherwise, from a how you include the variable of chance or luck into the mix, and how you can really build a career long term playing poker. Let's remind everyone that poker is the only game like that where you have professional players. So yeah, poker and SEO. Next, on twitter.com from the lovely Aleida Solis. If you are using Web Stories WordPress plugin for Google, be mindful your web story might not pass the validation test if you use WP Rocket or Cloudflare to cache. She had the issue with it, and she gives out the solution. It seems that it was fixed, but the issue is still there. I don't know. Just be careful. And if you are not doing web stories, you should. Next, new from Google, Question Hub. You publish better content, the web improves for everyone. It's right now only in a few countries. What's interesting is the choice of countries: United States, India, Indonesia, and Nigeria. I would love to know why they picked those countries. The idea here is that some people are looking for information and there are no answers. So, first, they collect unanswered questions directly from users to identify content gaps online. That's what they call it. Then, creators like you can then use this insight to create better content for your audience. Finally, once it's online, this better, richer content can benefit everyone. Step 1, find the right questions. Step 2, create richer content. Step 3, track your impact. Love it. Let's see how much they keep the spammers out of it and how much they can attract quality, I would say, content creators. But I don't know, guys. There's something called Wikipedia, and this question hub kind of looks like it a little bit. I don't know. Next in the news, alphabetworkersunion.org. We are Alphabet Workers. We stand united. FYI. Alphabet Inc. is the mothership. Everybody calls it Google, but Google is just part of Alphabet. From an anecdotal point of view, I think it was a genius move considering the whole DOJ lawsuit. Alphabet is set up to be broken up. It's already planned. They already knew. It's genius. But now they got an union. So there's the list of all the people who joined, a bunch of engineers, and they look like, a couple of hundred, maybe 100. Well, what I know, all you guys are on the shit list of the head of the company, that's for sure. Because you had a little rock in the shoe. Let's remind everyone what happened last week. Okay, there was no small news that Google fired the only person who was pretty much, saving Google artificial intelligence from being evil, or at least what the because that's what they say. Okay, we used to say don't be evil, so let's do it again. The bad news I have for you guys is that once a company goes IPO, it's a bit difficult. Okay, it's a bit complicated. They got those quarterly reports, and they that's all they care about. So Timnit Gebru last week was fired. I hope your union will achieve results. I will be looking up for whatever you achieve. Good luck to you guys. It's not gonna be easy, but it's a good start. Next in the news, the Alphabet union workers. Maybe you should look at that. On Forbes, Google promised not to use its AI in weapons, so why is it investing in startups straight out of Star Wars? Funny. So 2 years ago, there was a letter signed by, how many? 3,000 maybe? Something like that, if I remember correctly. I don't, I can't find the numbers, but it was a good number of people. Yeah, 3,000 people signed a letter to the CEO of Alphabet saying, we believe that Google should not be in the business of war. So they killed Project Maven, a potential $250 million a year deal. What's happening now is Google, or not Google, but Alphabet is investing in startups like Orbital, which was created by a former Googler, if I'm not saying something. Yeah, founded by former Google Books director James Crawford. Okay. This AI shift through masses of satellite images, drone footage, and aggregate smartphone locations data from 800 million devices across the world, with the goal of telling customers what's physically changed on Earth and why it matters. For example, you could track North Korean nuclear sites or the Taliban building training camps, and of course, peaceful uses like deforestation monitoring in the Amazon, and so on. But that's not it. Planet, which was founded by NASA engineers, is also looking at this imagery, and Google bought 16% of that company. Both companies work with the US military and various intelligence agencies. Planet has contract with space intelligences, including the National Reconnaissance Office and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, a DoD combat support agency. Orbital bid for work on the controversial Project Maven, according to two former employees. And there's a big quote saying, there's a lot of money in doing things that some people might consider unethical. Remember? Alphabet, IPO, quarterly reports. You have to take short-term decisions to satisfy those investors every 3 months. That's the issue. Right there, simple. There's beyond that, I don't know, but I can track down the real switch, at least on Google's level, once they went public. Many things changed in that company. On the New York Times, Microsoft's lessons for Google. What the Microsoft case teaches us about antitrust and the power of big tech today. If you weren't aware, a few years ago, it was 2013, I believe, Microsoft was I have the paywall. Okay. Microsoft was pretty much broken up and annoyed by DOJ and Congress. Basically the same thing that's happening today for Google, Amazon, Apple, and Facebook. It's a very good question. I think the context is different, but a couple of things are similar. And if we look at the end game, like today, Microsoft was not in front of DOJ, okay? Was not in front of Congress, and it suggests that Microsoft was limited in the way they were going about doing business or dealing with certain markets or whatever. It probably left some room for companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon to grow. Let's see what's coming out of the breaking up of Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, and we'll see in a bunch of years if it also allowed for new tech companies to become major players. Finally, Year in Search 2020 by Google Trends. See what's trending in 2020. Not super interesting, but here you go. Okay, first search, number 1, coronavirus. 2nd, election results. 3, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. 4, Zoom. 5, APL. Then news, coronavirus, election results, Iran, Beirut, antivirus, stimulus checks. Actors, Tom Hanks, Joaquin Phoenix, Amitabh Bachchan, Ricky Gervais, that's surprising. Athletes, Ryan Newman, Michael Jordan, back, always on top. Tyson Fury, Tom Brady, Mike Tyson. Surprised to see Thiago Silva there on number 10. Yes, he moved from the French team PSG to Chelsea, but still. What else has he done to leverage so much search about him? Concerts, Together at Home, Firefight Australia concerts. Games, interesting. Number 1 is Among Us. Number 2 is Fall Guys. Number 3 is Valorant. And then movies, Parasite. Really? I didn't see the movie, but didn't look like it was worth it. 2nd, 1917. 3rd, Black Panther. TV shows, number 1 is Tiger King. Also very surprised. I didn't watch that documentary on Netflix about some scammer. But that's what Google says. Okay. 2nd is Big Brother Brazil. 3, Money Heist, Casa del Papel, amazing show. And the people. Number 1, Joe Biden. Number 2, Kim Jong-un. Number 3, Boris Johnson. Number 4, Kamala Harris. Number 5, Tom Hanks. And Mr. Trump. Nowhere to be found in the top 10. That's it for the news this week. That's all I got in the bags for you. And let's go. Move into this new year. See you next week for week 2 of 2021 with more alternative search news. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.